With the start of the new championship season right around the corner, I reckon it's about time that we rank some home kits. Now, as of recording, 22 of the 24 championship clubs have released their new home kit for the upcoming season. As of recording, I believe it's only Oxford United and Luton Town who haven't released their new kits yet. So for the purposes of this video, they won't be included. But we're going to be grading the other 22 kits that have been released so far, and I'd be interested to get your takes on these down below. As always, this video is just for a little bit of fun. Without any further ado, let's jump in. Starting out with Blackburn Rovers. Now I have to admit, Blackburn, especially home shirts in years gone by, I've always had a bit of a bee in my bonnet about, mainly because of the sponsor, which I always thought looked a little bit tacky, that totally wicked sponsor with the devil on. Thankfully, they've now ditched that sponsor, and I have to admit, this new home kit's a bit of a banger for me. Really like the blue and white collar on this one. I think the sponsor fits into it quite well. I like the design pattern that it's got and the detailings on the blue side of the shirt especially. Can't believe I'm saying this about a Blackburn Rovers kit, but that might be one of my favourite home shirts from the championship this season. As a grade, I'm going to give that an A. Really impressed with Rovers this season. Next up we then go to Bristol City, and I don't know what it is with Bristol City, but I really feel like they've dropped the ball a little bit with some of their shirts in recent years. Going back about 4 or 5 seasons, Bristol City for me were always bringing out the best kits, but it does feel like they've regressed a little bit from that point, and their new home shirt, it's not really doing it for me. It's not disastrous by any means. I think it's the trimmings more than anything around the collar and the sleeves. Looks a little bit like a Five Guys uniform or something like that. Personally, I'm not sold on that shirt. I'm going to give it a D as my ranking. Next then, we got the new Burnley home shirt for the upcoming season. I like a few elements of this one. I just feel like that massive sponsor of 96.com takes away quite a bit from this shirt. I actually think a sponsorless version of this kit would actually look pretty nice. But that giant sponsorship in the middle, I don't feel like it fits in great with the rest of the shirt and the overall colour scheme. Gonna give that one a C, I think. Would be better without the sponsor in my opinion. After that, we get to the Cardiff shirt for the upcoming season. I think this one's fine. I think the best feature of this kit overall is the throwback badge, which I think looks really nice on this one. For the rest of the shirt, they have kept it fairly simple. Saw someone online saying it looked a bit too much like a rugby top, and I do see that. Obviously, you've still got the Visit Malaysia sponsor in there as well. Grading for this one, probably go C+. It's not my favourite Cardiff shirt ever, but I am a fan of the badge on that one. After that, we get to the new Coventry City home shirt, and I think I'll always be a sucker for Coventry kits just because I love that shade of blue. I was a fan of their kits last year, and I'm a fan of this one as well. I think the sponsor looks really good on this one, probably better than last year's sponsor actually, with that massive King of Shaves one that they had. I think it's got a nice amount of detail where it's a fairly simple kit, but it doesn't drift into being boring. White on blue will always look really nice as well. For me personally, I'm giving that one an A as well. I think that one looks really good. Derby County's kit for the upcoming season, I think it's fine. It's not my favourite Derby shirt from years gone by, but I think when you're a club like Derby, I mean, myself as a Preston fan, I can speak to this as well. There's only so much you can really do with these home shirts when white is your main colour scheme. I think this one looks decent enough and is probably one that will look a little bit better in the flesh as well. C+, I'm giving that one as my grading. Not my favourite Derby shirt ever, but not a disaster by any means. Next then we got the Hull City home kit for the upcoming season, made by Kappa, and honestly, not that much has really changed from last year's home kit in my opinion, but I was a fan of that one, and I think this one looks quite tidy as well. As it's made by the same company as last year's shirt, they've still got the same sponsor as well, obviously. Still the same sort of design with the stripes as well. It was always going to be quite similar to last year's kit, but I like that one, I like this one. I'm going to give it a B overall for Hull. The Leeds United home shirt has got a lot of people talking this summer, and love to get some of your guys' opinions on this one down below. Honestly, I'm a little bit conflicted on this one because on one hand, as just a football shirt, take Leeds out of the equation, I actually think this one looks quite nice, but on the opposite hand, it just doesn't really look like a Leeds kit to me. I think this one is going to take a bit of getting used to. The front of shirt sponsor of Red Bull obviously being the main talking point of this shirt. I think that's a kit I'd like to see in action before making a proper judgment of it. But just off that picture alone, I'm going to give it a B. I think it's a nice looking kit, albeit definitely not a traditional Leeds United shirt, if you get me. After that, we got the new Borough shirt for the upcoming season, and honestly, I think this is probably my favourite home kit that Middlesbrough have released in quite a few years. In saying that, it still doesn't blow me away or anything like that, but a solid entry nonetheless. Borough, their home kits in years gone by haven't been my favourite per se, but I do think this one's quite a clean and effective looking kit. Grade for me for this one, I'm going to go B-, I think. After that we get to the Millwall kit for the upcoming season, and I'm a big fan of this one, I have to admit. Nice retro look to it in my opinion. Absolutely love the proper collar on this one. I think it makes it look really nice. The colour contrast is nice on this shirt as well, and the little detailings it's got. Not sure if I like that one quite as much as the Blackburn or Coventry kits, but still deserves an A. A-, I'm going to give that shirt as a ranking for me. After that, for the Norwich City home shirt. Now in years gone by, the Canaries have had some really wacky home shirts which have definitely split opinion. You can definitely say they've played it a lot safer and down the middle for this year's kit release. Pretty standard, but I don't always think that's a bad thing. I think this kit looks fairly clean, albeit maybe lacking a bit of the creativity that some of the previous home shirts from Norwich have had. With that being said, I still think it looks like a fairly tidy kit and good enough to earn a B grade from me, I'd say. After that, we've got the new entry from Plymouth Argyle, their new home kit for the upcoming season. Have to admit, I was a fan of last year's home kit. The green and gold I thought looked pretty tidy. This year they've gone back to the traditional sort of green and white colour scheme, which I think looks good as well. I think the sponsor fits into this one quite nicely, keeps things simple, the pattern's pretty trendy as well. Still think I slightly preferred last season's home kit, but this one's still solid nonetheless. I'm going to give that a B+ for Plymouth. After that, we got the new Portsmouth kit for the upcoming season, made by Nike, and I always feel like Nike get a little bit lazy when it comes to making championship kits. Often they're guilty of just sort of throwing a template out there and just leaving it at that, really. I think this one does have some redeeming factors, but I'm going to be honest, it's not blowing me away. Can't help but feel like a few white trimmings somewhere on the top would have made this one pop a little bit more. The pinstripes are a switch up from what Portsmouth have generally had in recent years, but for a kit rating for me, I'm going to go with a C, I think, for that one. After that, we then get to my team, Preston North End. What do I make of the new North End home shirt? I think it is simple and clean looking, albeit maybe a little bit boring. I've seen a lot of people saying it looks like a training top, and I do see that with this, if I'm being honest. It's got the subtle design with the slash going across, which is a nice element to it, I suppose, but it does just lack a little bit of really, for me personally. Gonna give it a C+. I think it's alright, but we've definitely had better home kits in recent years for me. Next then to QPR's home shirt for the upcoming season, and I feel like this one had so much potential, but there's just a couple of elements that really break this one for me. The sponsor on this shirt, not my favourite. I suppose it doesn't break the overall aesthetics of it because it fits in with one of the hoops. The other thing I just can't really get on board with this shirt is the collar design. I really don't like it. The sort of open-chested design with the little blue dip there. Personal preference, I'm not really digging that one. I don't mind the gradient in the hoops with the different shades of blue, but overall ranking, I'm going to be harsh, I'm going to give a D for that one. I'm just not feeling the collar at all. After that, we have the new Sheffield United home kit, and I'm really digging the look of this one. Now, as of recording, there's no front of shirt sponsor, but I'm sure that will eventually be added. And as we all know, as we've seen throughout this video, a front of shirt sponsor can absolutely make or break a shirt. But judging it as it is right now, I actually think it looks really clean without a sponsor on the front. Obviously, the red and white always looks really good. I like the thin black stripes going down this one as well, and I actually quite like the little yellow trimmings that it's got on this shirt as well. I'm giving that shirt an A-, it's up there for sure for me. After that, we get to the new Sheffield Wednesday home shirt for the upcoming season, also without a front of shirt sponsor as of recording. Whenever that's added, it could either take this shirt up a few levels or potentially down, depending on what that looks like. It's an interesting shirt design, not as big on this one, I don't think, as I am the Sheffield United shirt. I think I prefer the collar on the other kit and the slightly thicker lines as well. But with that being said, I still think this is a nice looking Wednesday shirt. They've got the pattern going on down all of the stripes as well on this shirt. And once again, I actually think that this shirt will probably look better without a sponsor on. As it is right now, I'm giving that a B+. Stoke City are the only championship club this season that's got a centred badge on their home kit, and I actually think it looks really nice on this shirt, going down that red stripe in the middle. Obviously sponsored by Bet365. I actually think the black on that contrasts quite well well with the stripes. And then the black trimmings around the collar and sleeves I also think looks pretty clean on this design as well. It's clean, fairly simple, as you'd expect a Stoke home shirt to be. I actually think that's one of my favourite home shirts that's been released this year from the Championship. I'm going to give that one an A-. I would have given it an A if they had a proper traditional collar on that one. With Sunderland's new home kit for the upcoming season, I definitely think this is an upgrade on last season's home shirt, which was a little bit hit and miss for me. This time you got the stripes going all the way up the shirt. Fairly clean and simple design here from Hummel, as you'd expect with the home shirt. Going to give that one a B+ for my ranking for Sunderland there. After that, we got the new Swansea City home shirt for the upcoming season, and I think Swansea have smashed it with this one. I've seen a few mixed reviews from Swansea fans themselves. Myself personally, I've not been the biggest fan of the last few home shirts they've released. And for me personally, I think this is definitely the best home kit they've had in quite a few years actually. I think the overall colour scheme works really well here to give this kit a little bit of flavour with the trimmings around the collar and sleeves and the sponsor as well. Obviously we've got the white and black that dominate this kit, but then that splash of orange as well just gives it a little bit of flavour. Don't get me wrong, it is a simple kit, but I think it looks clean. I'm giving that an A-, I think. I have to admit, I am digging the look of the new Watford home kit for the upcoming season. It's gone with the pinstripes, the sort of red and black ones running down this shirt. Gives it that sort of retro look to it that I always appreciate. Got some nice red trimmings on this shirt as well, around the collar and sleeves, which also look nice. Do think what takes away from this shirt slightly is the massive sponsor, which looks absolutely gigantic on this one, the printing of Mr. Q there. Regardless of that, I still think this is a nice looking shirt though. I'm going to give that a B+, I think. And then finishing today's video off with the new West Brom kit, which I also think is a pretty tidy looking one, if I'm being honest. I like the collar of this one, the subtle design that it's got going on the stripes as well. I think the sponsor fits into this one quite well. A few nice red trimmings around the shirt, which gives it that extra pop as well. In terms of West Brom home shirts, I think that's a pretty strong entry. I'm gonna give that a B+ as well, I think, as my ranking for the West Brom shirt. But there you guys have it. There is every Championship club that have released their home kits so far and what I personally think of them. Do you agree with my gradings? Let me know in the comments down below. But other than that, that will wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.